today's topic, and that is perfectionism and how to overcome it. Now, perfectionism is quite a common problem, and it tends to affect many people. So while it may seem like a positive trait, it can actually have a negative impact on our productivity, on our mental health, and our overall well-being. And when perfectionism becomes overwhelming, then we tend to procrastinate. We tend to miss deadlines. We tend to put tasks off, whether it's at work or whether it's at home. Now, I have worked with many clients, and I've worked with many children in schools as well, who perfectionism was a big hindrance. Okay, it was a hindrance because they felt like they were not doing a good enough job. And there are other reasons as well. Okay, so missing deadlines and putting off tasks, even children would put off tasks for as long as they can because they don't know how to handle this feeling of perfectionism, don't know how to work or release that anxiety that comes with making sure that things are perfect. So when people strive for perfectionism, they find themselves struggling to get on with their projects because they are afraid of making mistakes or not meeting their own high standards. And that's the clue. Their own high standards. It's standards that they place upon themselves. Okay, but we need to take a closer look at that. And that is that what is the underlying reasons for why you may feel like your work needs to be perfect? Is it due to expectations from others? Or is it feelings of inadequacy? It's necessary to get to the root of the issue in order to move on and move forward and get things done and become more productive. So one of the things I help my clients with is how to overcome the emotions of perfectionism and then to let go of those limiting beliefs. And then they have the right tool to help them propel forward and become more productive. And sometimes people don't realize how much perfectionism is actually holding them back. Because once you remove that limiting belief, a whole world opens up and you find that you can do a lot more than you ever expected to be able to do. So you may also spend too much time on small details, which can cause missing deadlines or have negative impact on your tasks. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to just talk about a few ways to overcome perfectionism and become more productive. So here are some of my tips. First thing I would say is set realistic goals. Do not set goals for a month, a year, 5 years. Okay. Actually you can set those goals, but those are long-term goals. But in order to achieve your task and to become more productive, you have to set smaller, realistic goals and take it one step at a time. So instead of aiming for perfection, focus on setting those realistic goals that are achievable. This will help you stay motivated and avoid feeling overwhelmed. The second thing is embrace mistakes. When I was a teacher and in my classroom, mistakes were celebrated. Mistakes were celebrated because when you make a mistake, you learn one more way of how not to do something. And you also learn a different way of solving a problem. Okay, there is so much that comes from mistakes. But in today's society, we are so afraid to make mistakes. We're so afraid to show who we are. We're so afraid that, if we make a mistake, then that's going to be the end that other people are going to demoralize us or whatever it is. But remember that mistakes are a natural form. It's a natural part of the learning process, and they can actually help you improve. So embrace them and use them as an opportunity to learn and grow. Now, this is a skill you have to truly practice. It's not going to happen on the first mistake, on the second mistake, on the third mistake. It is something that you have to practice. Those emotions will come up. And when you feel discomfort, then you know that you're growing. Because you don't grow in comfort, you grow in discomfort. Okay? Prioritize, the next one I would say is prioritize your tasks. Instead of getting bogged down with small details, prioritize tasks based on their importance and their deadline. Like, this will help you stay focused and avoid procrastination. Now, one of the things that I found is amongst my colleagues, actually, that they would procrastinate so much, so afraid of getting the task started because it's not going to be perfect, that they wait for the last minute. And then, there's so much pressure, there's so much stress. I like to do tasks early because I like to get it out of the way and it's done. And then if I'm happy with it, I don't actually go back and think, oh, how can I change it? What can I change? Okay, unless something has to be changed, then that's a different story. Like, I don't know, my boss tells me that there's something that needs to be changed. That's a different story. So the fourth way I would say is practice self-compassion. I cannot stress this enough, practicing self-compassion. At the end of the day, we all are human beings. Honestly, we all are trial and errors. Every day is a trial and error. Every day with parenting, it's a trial and error. Every day there's a new phase in parenting. I'm in the phase of, I no longer need you now, Mum. And it's that phase of detachment. And I have to start learning how to deal with it. But I've got to practice that self-compassion for myself and for the phase that the child is in. But when we're talking about perfectionism, you have to practice self-compassion and be okay with making those mistakes. Because practicing self-compassion and being kind to yourself when things don't go as planned is one of the best things that you could model for with your child, because then they start to learn how to practice that self-compassion for themselves. Now, I'd like to say that, overcoming perfectionism, it's not easy, but it is important. It is important for your mental health, and it is important for productivity, and it is important to model to your children that mistakes are okay. Mistakes are welcome. So by setting realistic goals and embracing your mistakes and prioritizing your tasks and practicing self-compassion, you can become more productive and enjoy the process of learning and growing. And you get to do something that our parents were not able to show us. You get to model it to your kids on how to overcome those internal challenges, those internal struggles we feel, and those internal struggles that plague us. Children don't learn from words. In fact, I don't know if many people learn from words. We learn from action, we learn from mistakes, we learn from watching and observing. So, I'm going to leave you with that today. And I would truly appreciate, if you enjoyed this content, give it a like and a comment, and follow us on Instagram and join our Facebook group for more ways to reduce stress and to increase your well-being. Until next time, bye for now.